This is for my chosen ones, my earth angels, energetic beings, highly energetic beings. You have to understand that a lot of times you were somebody's blessing that turned into a lesson. And you done probably been in some wild situations, dealt with some wild people, people that was not equally yoked to you. When you got out those situations, you look back and was like, what the hell? How the hell did I get aligned with them? What was I thinking? What was I smoking? You start asking yourself these questions. And when you out of them, you start thinking clearly, and you don't really even know how you got lined up with these people. But I tell you this, sometimes you were put in these people's lives to be a blessing upon them, to show them the way, show them that there's good people out here. Sometimes that was it. Sometimes that was the only reason why God put you in these life, is to show these people that there's actually good people out here, to show these people an example of what a good person is, what unconditional love is, how to love somebody, how to give without wanting to receive. You got to understand, a lot of times when you come across these people, they've prayed for somebody like you. They have prayed for somebody like you, yet they weren't ready to receive that blessing. And how you know a lot of people were not ready to receive that blessing is how they act when that blessing is upon them. Some people are in so much disbelief, or some people have a lack of confidence so much in themselves, or don't look at themselves in a higher light, that they'll squander it before they're even able to receive it. Some people will squander it down the line, when reality starts kicking in, that they may not be adequate enough in order to handle that blessing. It's a lot of different times, it's a lot of different reasons, but it ultimately almost always ends up the same, as that they fumble it. They fumble the blessing. And then we're sitting there at the end of it like, well, why did I go through this? Or I showed them love. I did this. I did that. And I was a good person. Da, 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 da. They still did this to me. They still cheat on me. They still lied to me. Da, 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 da. And you have to understand, sometimes that was part of the mission. Sometimes you have to understand that was part of your mission. Like I said, sometimes God will put you in these people's lives to show them that they are good people. Sometimes God will put you in these people's lives as a final test, you know. Sometimes God may put you in these people's lives just for a test. But I firmly believe every time God aligns us with somebody, it's for an assignment. To show them real God character, real God nature. Because that's how we're going to act either way. And that's why I believe it's important. No matter how people treat you in these relationships, no matter how it's going, you take the high road and you show them the godly road, because it's easy to backslide. It's easy to match energy. It's easy to treat them how they're treating you. It's easy. But now you're not showing them that there's a different type of people out here. Now you're not really fulfilling your assignment, an assignment of, treating them as God would have treated them, treating them as, Jesus would have treated them. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy. I know we want to slip up. I know we want to cuss them out too. I know we want to treat them bad too. But that's not the assignment. That's not the assignment. The assignment was to treat them, in a higher light. Treat them better than they see themselves. That was the whole assignment. And it's not you continuously withstanding bullshit. Somebody disrespecting you, somebody, abusing you physically, emotionally, mentally, or whatever the case may be, and you still stay in there like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing God's work and treat. No, hell no. You get up out of there. It's just how you get up out of there. You do it with grace, elegance, class, godly, righteously, or do you just cuss them out and treat them as they treated you? Sometimes these people take the low road when they do you wrong. And it's up to you to say, no, I'm not going to go that path. These people might have been serial cheaters, you know. They cheated on everybody that they was with. They got with you, they cheated on you. When they was with everybody else, everybody done burnt their clothes, bleached their clothes, did this, cussed them out, posted them on Facebook, did this, did that, did this, did that. And you probably just took the guy role. You was like, you know what? That's just something that you got to work on. I don't take it personally. I feel hurt, yeah, but I know there's more about you, not me. And I pray you get it together before you know you lose somebody else that could have been beneficial in your life. I don't hold no grudges. You know, everybody has learning lessons, and hopefully you can learn something from this, as I've learned from this as well. When you take that road against somebody who cheated on you, versus burning up their shit and doing this and doing that, now they like, what? What? They ain't gonna know what to do. That done changed their whole perspective on things. Now they starting to feel guilty that they done, cheated on somebody who was good to them. See where I'm going? See, now you starting to change their heart posture. Now they're starting to see, oh, damn, I didn't have to do that. There was more about me than them. The excuses that I did give them don't equate. They still treated me with grace and class and godly, even when I did them wrong. Damn, that was somebody I needed in my life. Damn, I might have to change my ways. Especially if you don't know where these people come from emotionally. That's why I say we got to have empathy and sympathy in all cases, in all situations. Because when you have empathy, you're able to sit in them shoes and see where they're coming from. And then sympathy, you're able to sympathize with them. Don't mean that you know what I'm saying, you continuously let them do that bullshit. And I'm not saying that now. And you continuously, receive that bullshit. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that you're able to see where they're coming from to give them grace. Because ultimately, I believe that's why we're here, is to give people grace. See where their flaws are. See how they could have did better, and help them. And you help them by not, bringing them down. You help them by not treating them like how everybody else has treated them in the past. What's good, Bit Out? Because it's easy to treat people who done you wrong like everybody else has, done them wrong. That's too easy. The hard road, the hard path is treating them, with grace and empathy and kindness, even if they done you wrong. That's the hard road. That's the hard path. So like I said, sometimes you is a blessing in people's life. And I like that example, when people cheat on you, because that's one of the worst things that can happen to you when you're in a relationship, is when you being loyal to somebody. And what do? They turn around and cheat on you or do this and do that. Now you feel upset. Now you feel sad. Now you feel like you want to tear up everything they done never had. Sometimes I feel you. I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not taking that away from nobody. I'm not taking that away from nobody. I completely understand. But what I'm saying is how we handle situations could reflect how God looks upon you. How we handle situations could reflect or affect how we get into another situation. Like I said, I'm speaking to chosen ones. I'm speaking to, high energetic beings. I'm talking to earth angels. This is what I'm talking to. This is how you're supposed to handle situations. Everybody can benefit from this as well, you know. But I know specifically, morning. I know specifically who this is for. And when we get into these situations, because I've been in situations before, I've been done wrong, this, woo, woo, woo. And I could have, and it could have been justified, easily justified, the way I could sleep at night, you know. But then I sit and ask myself, I said, what good does that do? Genuinely, what good does that do? Now I'm like everybody else they've ever dated. I'm like everybody else they've ever been with. I don't stick out to them, you know. Like I said, I'm not like everybody else. So I don't stick out. I don't show them that there's real empathy and sympathy and kindness out here. No matter, even if you've done somebody wrong. All it shows to them is, oh, I'm just like everybody else. So all the work, the kind work, the good work, the godly work that you've done with them or built them up, it all goes out the window. Somebody cheat on you and you cheat on them back. Now you just like everybody else they done dated. So now what good does that do? Now you don't even up with them. Now you just like them. Or they cuss you out. Now you cuss them out. I said how easy and how good that may feel. I understand it. I get it. But like I said, at the end of the day, how does that separate you from those that they've dealt with? We're supposed to be setting the bar high. We're supposed to be setting the standards high of how people view other people, how people view the world, how people view God. That's just my firm belief. Like I said, I've been in situations before where I could hold grudges. I've been in situations before where I could get back and sleep at night. I've been in those situations before. But then before I did it, or when I thought about it, I said, how does that separate me from everybody else? How does that make me different? Now I'm lumped up with the other, you know, bullshit people that they've been with. Nah, that ain't gonna be me. I'm gonna stand out. So when they say, oh, ain't no good men out here, they look back like, there was a lot of no good men that I've been with, but he's different. That's how we're supposed to be. When men say, oh, there's no good women out here, you're supposed to stand out and be like, you're supposed to be like, oh, there's no good women, but I did date this one woman and she was good to me. She was kind to me. She did respect me, woo, woo, and I did fuck her over, woo, woo. But even after I did that, she was still cool and showed me grace and empathy. She didn't come back no more, That's how it needs to be. Set examples. When people look back and say there's no good people, they have to stand up and say, no, there was some good people out there. There are good people out there. And I say sometimes God put you in these people's lives, like I said, to be a blessing. And sometimes them blessings turn to lessons. It is what it is. I can go further and deeper into that, but I think I'll just stop right here. Remember, sometimes God will put you in people's lives to be a blessing, to show them, how godly people act, to give them grace and empathy, something that they probably never had in their life, to tell them that they're not a bad person for the things that they do. Might be fucked up, yeah, but they don't necessarily make you a bad person. Just something that you got to learn and something that you got to grow from, something that you got to be willing to look at the mirror about and say, these are things that's not conducive to me aligning to what I really want to have. And I got to have to let these things go, or else I'm going to hurt individuals who really love me. That's how you got to leave people. That right there. But the moment that you return back to them what they did to you and you make them feel how they made you feel, you done threw everything, all the good work, you done threw that out the window. Just throw it out the window. You're supposed to have an everlasting impression on people. Again, sometimes don't worry about how people treat you. Don't worry about that. As far as like lasting hurt and all those things, because you got to understand God sent you on assignment. So he knew you were strong enough. He knew you was big enough. He knew you was capable enough. And if he knew that you weren't, he knew that you was going to learn a lesson from it. So you're going to walk away okay. Trust me. If you're a chosen one, you're an earth angel, woo, woo, no matter what situation you go through that you hurt, you have to understand you're going to walk away okay. And a lot of times when we don't walk away okay is when we invested too much mentally, physically, and emotionally into these situations, especially past the point where God told us to back up. And we did not pay attention and we didn't listen. I say that again. A lot of times when we end up in these situations and we're super hurt, we can't let go, we this, we that, it's because was supposed to let go and we did not. God Ben told us when we were supposed to let go and we did not. We wanted to completely heal somebody, fix somebody, do this, do that. We want to control in these situations. And because you want to control so much, you ended up getting hurt. You ended up staying invested in something that you weren't supposed to be invested in that long. You tried to do God's work when you were just a piece of his work. Again, try to do God's work and you just a puzzle piece in his work. Anyways, let me know how y'all feel about that. This Rich. Y'all be safe out there. Love and blessings.